Hello and welcome to Who We Ood, an unofficial Doctor Who watch along podcast. I am one of your hosts today, Cameron. I don't know if I said Cameron before. Screw it. And I am here with my co host, Ben. How are you doing today, Ben?
I am doing well. Can't believe you revealed your full name,
Do I usually say
Cameron.
Cam?
We usually just say Cam.
Mm,
We had to
crazy.
find you.
Oh yeah. Now that was the one key. They're like, oh shit.
Oh, it's Cameron. Okay.
Gonna call on the dark
Uh,
web now.
yeah. But yeah, I'm doing good. Just literally finished watching the episode that we are talking about today, like 10 minutes ago.
Rare for you.
I know. I'm on top of it, but I've we've had like severance stuff and it's just gotten pushed back and I don't know. I wasn't like, "Oh, I need to see the next part right away." Not as much as sometimes.
Also,
And
it's just
also
a
when it's
six-potter.
six-parter,
Yeah.
yeah, it just takes longer. 4 parts I can watch in 2 days. 6 parts, I can stretch it out a little more.
Unless
Um,
unless you're me, and I did watch it in 2 days. I I watched 2 last night and then I watched 4 today.
mhm,
So that was a lot. Probably should
yes.
have done like 2, 2, and 2 or like spread it out a little bit more, but hey, that's how it be sometimes. We're recording this the night of the Oscars.
Yes.
I wish
It's
I could be watching the
literally
Oscars, but instead
it's
we have to record this podcast. Hopefully
priorities.
hopefully Amelia Perez does not win tonight.
We're
That would
gonna
be a
do a
sad,
live
sad
reaction.
Well, hopefully we're not gonna be recording this podcast till 10 PM tonight,
No, but I
but,
mean, like, we could say, "Oh, man, it's, uh, Ralph what's his name? He won. OMG. Can you believe it, Cam?"
I don't even know who you're talking about.
Who's the guy he's in, like, a lotta
Ray Fiennes.
Grand Budapest Hotel.
It's
Who's the
Ray
main
Fiennes,
guy?
that's what I just
Ray
said.
Fiennes, yeah. Did you see
Anyways,
Conclave, Cam?
I did. It's very
Was
much fine.
fine.
Yeah.
It's not gonna win Best Picture.
I think there's a good chance. It's my second runner up at the moment. Because of course the best movie does not win the Academy Award.
What about Wicked? Think
The
that'll
Wicked
win?
has no chance.
What?
No chance. It's only gonna win probably like 1 or 2 technical awards, and that'll be all. And probably best. Yeah. Yeah, it's just gonna win those probably like sound or like makeup.
Makeup? Yeah.
Gotta put the green paint on the lady.
Speaking of green face,
Oh god.
today we're talking about the Talons of Weng-Chiang.
A big one, Ben.
Yes, another famous classic episode.
Talons of Wei-Chang went out. It's of course the end of season 14. Came out
Mhm.
February 26th, 1977. So we're almost recording this we're around the same. This is around the area where we're recording it where it came out. And then last broadcast in the 2nd of April, which is crazy to think that imagine watching a serial over 2 months, Ben.
That that would be crazy.
Like I just it
I mean, it's
seems
like just over a month because it's the end of February and the beginning of April.
but like still that's over 2 months, Ben, that you're watching the same story every week. Even
Hmm.
like a good story like Talons of Wang Chang, I feel like even that would be like boring for like today's audience. You'd be like, oh, we're still on this, you know?
I don't know. It's a different kind of mindset compared to the, you know, modern 45 minutes and you're out. More and this is of course is even more episodic, serial to serial. I mean, at least it's not a 7-parter
Oh,
or an
no, like
8-parter or a
yeah,
12-parter.
and like my god, like something like the war games almost killed the show because like you get to like those last couple parts, you'd be like, why is this still going on?
Yeah, like for 3 months.
The same story.
Well, it helps when it's a good one,
This
and
one, this
I
story.
think it
Oh yeah.
is a good one.
This story directed by Darren Maloney and written by Robert Holmes. So basically the two goats, Ben. The
Yes.
two of the best of the best. Of course, it's the last episode that is produced by Phillip Hinchcliffe and ends the Hinchcliffe era of the show. Before we move on to what we thought of the episode, I just want to start off by reading these two quotes by we have quotes from the showrunners, Ben, the future Doctor showrunners about this serial. So I'm going to read them off. Russell T Davies said about Talons of Weng-Chiang. Take the Talons of Weng-Chiang, for example. Watch episode 1. It's the best dialogue ever written. It's up there with Dennis Potter, who is like a famous, like side note, a famous British TV writer. By a man called Robert Holmes. When the history of television drama comes to be written, Robert Holmes won't be remembered at all because he only wrote genre stuff. And that, I reckon, is a real tragedy. Stephen
Mhm.
Moffat had other words to say about Talents of Weng-Chiang. He said, how could a good hack, so he said he was a good hack, think that the BBC could make a giant rat? If he'd come to me and with my house when I was 14 and said, can BBC special effects do a gigantic rat? I'd have to say no. I'd rather see them do something limited than something crap. What I resented was having to go back to school 2 days later, and my friends knew I watched the show. They go, did you see this giant rat? I had to say, I thought there was dramatic integrity elsewhere. So, Ben, what did you think of Talents of Wang Chang?
I thought it was pretty good. I mean, there's the elephant in the room, of course. Uh,
Well, two.
two elephants?
Yeah.
What's the other elephant?
There's the racism and then there's the giant rat.
Oh, the giant rat doesn't look great. I'm not really focused on it. I mean, the percentage of the story that is giant rat is quite small compared to the story amount of the story that is very racist.
Yeah.
But setting those one giant elephant and the little baby elephant aside,
Or you could
uh,
even say rat-sized elephant, Ben.
a rat
Sorry,
size.
it's more like a rat-sized elephant, I should have said.
I mean, it's bigger than a rat though. It's a
Yeah.
giant rat size
No, that's
elephant.
why I said a rat-sized I mean, I saw yeah, an elephant-sized rat. That's what it
Mhm.
is.
True. But yeah, again, setting those aside, very good. Uh, this story has such a sense of atmosphere. I think this is, a lot of these stories have been kind of like gothic, and I think this story is like the most gothic. Very dark and moody and misty. And it's great. I think they definitely blew a lot of budget on this
Uh,
story.
I agree with you that the story is very good. I watched this when I was a kid, but I didn't really remember that much of it because I saw it like I must have been very young. This must have been one of the very first classic Doctor Who stories. I got the VHS of this from a library. So that shows you how old this was when there were still VHSs at a library. I remember this also was a weird one where like I watched even as a kid, I watched the whole thing in one sitting, which is
Really?
crazy to think about that. Like I don't know what I was doing as a kid watching this in one sitting. But yeah, it's a very good story. Of course, like you mentioned, David Maloney's direction really, really helps sells it. It feels like it feels very much like it is from that era. It doesn't feel like it's like, oh, the BBC wasn't able to afford this. It's like, no, the BBC can do an historical Victorian setting with the limited budget because like they have this stuff and and they can they do this every couple of years with Dickens adaptations. So like they know how to do this.
Yeah.
And Maloney also adds like a lot of that like atmosphere in the air that he had done in like a battlefield in Genesis of the Daleks and in the Deadly Assassin, but now brings that atmosphere to this Victorian setting. And like something that I thought that like I have to give a shout out for his direction is just like the sets and the exterior stuff both fit. It doesn't feel like one is out it doesn't feel like one is very much unlike the other. They both
Yeah.
have the same, like, this feels like Victorian setting, you know?
Yeah, it is very cohesive too. Um, there are definitely stories where it's a pretty rough transition between the location and the sets, but this felt very uh, seamless.
And of course, not to get too much into it, but because I want to get into this later, but like some of the best side characters
Oh,
that
yeah.
the classic Doctor Who has ever done. Like, of course, Doctor Who being a show that is different every week, the side characters have to like it has a lot of side characters, and these are the
It's
two that
mostly
like
side characters.
but these are the two that how many side characters in Doctor Who has 14 is it 12 or 14? I think it's
14.
12. Well, is it 14?
14 plus like some extra stuff, but like,
14 seasons of Big Finish,
oh yes.
which is insane.
It is insane, which did yeah, I had that knowledge already because I've looked into and scrolled the wiki. I figured, of course it's Jago and Lightfoot. I thought they would be teaming up more, and I thought they were both like just detective guys, not a theater owner and a doctor. But once in part 5, once that duo is established, immediately so much chemistry, they're acting like they've been known each other and been bickering for like 20
Yeah.
years. I totally get why they were chosen to do 14 seasons
But also
of
like
their own spin-off.
yes, they're great together, but they also are great when they're not together, and it is just the Doctor
Oh
with
yeah.
Lightfoot or the Doctor with Jago. It is just you can just tell there's something different about the way that one, Robert Holmes writes these characters, and two, the way that they are performed, that those actors are just having so much fun with it. And it honestly, it's a shame that we didn't get like an episode. I mean, sorry, a serial every season of the Doctor just going back to the Victorian setting to meet with his boys like unit in a way. Tell
Oh
me
yeah.
that you wouldn't have wanted that then.
That would have been great. There are definitely many side characters are very one note, and these are not. I could see them being, regulars on the show, if not a companion, but and a friend.
Oh, definitely. Like I
But
said, you could see the doc and nowadays in modern Doctor Who, the Doctor would have went back to the Victorian setting and met them again. But yeah, it's highly regarded as being one of the best serials of classic Doctor Who. But of course, just to discuss the big elephant in the room, we have the racism of it. Of course, at the center of that, I would say, is the main character that is Chinese is not played by someone who is Chinese and instead is played by an Englishman with yellow face, as well as with a very, very racist, stereotypical accent.
yes, it's definitely it is a shame. Like I mean, I think it's the guy's name is John Bennett. I think he did a good job.
Yeah,
I just don't think he should have ever been cast.
no. And especially since, like, I don't know too much about world politics, right? But, like, Britain and Hong Kong, like, they did have a relationship at this point, so I would imagine there were people coming from Hong Kong that they could have casted, like,
I mean, everyone besides what is it?
Chang.
Lee Sen Chang. Everyone else that was Chinese was actually some kind of Asian.
Yeah, which does not
So
help at all. Like, of course, yellowface would be bad regardless, but it does not help at all when you actually have people that are Asian with him.
yeah, they couldn't have found one.
And also, it's like, it's a
uh,
shame because the character is a cool character. Um, but you have that element there, and you're just watching it the whole time being like, "Jesus Christ, this has not aged well at all." And it's a weird thing where you have to look at it from you're watching you know this is wrong, but you're also watching it from the 1970s standpoint of like, no, I have to look past that to see like then like this is this isn't a moment of the era. It's it's a shame. It's a big shame because it's for a story that is this good. Having that be center of it is just it's just something that you wish it wasn't there.
yeah.
But yeah, and then there's also like other elements in there that is also racist to the Chinese. I think some of it probably would fit the era of Victorian times.
Yeah, there's some of it that's like simulated Victorian. I bumped my mic. Simulated Victorian racism, and then there's some that is 1970s racism,
Yeah.
kind of layered on top of each other.
Yeah, but like, did it hurt your viewing experience, Ben, watching it, you think?
It, yeah, it did. It's not a deal breaker, but it's definitely a big negative in an otherwise quite good story.
And it's weird because at this era of the show, there's nothing like this to this extreme at this point of the show. Like the 70s era. Like we didn't
Mm.
watch anything in like the Pertwee era or Tom Baker so far that we've been like, oh my god. Like this really much is one of the big question marks in the 70s era of the show. Just like,
I mean, there's a couple, you know, unfavorably like uh black people that are like just big old dumb
but like
youths.
that's more I would say like Toberman and Tuberman the Cybermen, but like the
Yeah.
70s with those there haven't been that
I
much of
mean,
that.
there was one in Terror of the Autumn.
They're played by the same actor,
Oh,
Toberman.
yeah. And also there another yellow face in the Abominable Snowman?
Yeah, but I said 70s, man.
7, yeah.
70s. There hasn't been that much in the 70s so far. Or so even like I think period. I don't think there's that much in the next couple of seasons, but we'll see. But it's just like I just want to make the point of like there's not like there's that much of this at this point. Like of course there's those 60s examples, but like
Yeah.
yeah, it's a big
They
shame.
really, I guess, wanted to do a evil Chinese story.
But like I like it's doing something similar to Pyramids of Mars where it's taking the mythology of Chinese with Wang Chiang.
Is Wang Chiang a real god?
That's a great question. Probably like Sutek, where it's probably not real. Yeah, it's not real. But like
Is he
it's a
one of the gods in the pantheon
well, no, well, he
in
can't be
modern
because
Hollywood?
like he's not
I
real,
mean,
Ben.
not this guy, but like he's impersonating.
The real Wang Chang
Yeah.
in the Doctor
Not
Who world.
Magnus Creel, but
Yeah.
the real Wang Chiang.
Who knows? Maybe we will see. We will see. But
Maybe
like
season 2.
it is cool that like but then again, like it's I guess that is kind of weird that like but then it's kind of similar to Sutek where Sutek is not really like a real Egyptian god. Of
No,
course
he's just an
influenced
alien.
by like the Satan version of whatever god is in Egypt mythology. Um but like it's
Anubis.
yeah. But yeah, it is trying to think, Ben. What how would you use the whole conceit of the Chinese god of Wang Chiang? How is that used in this story?
What do you mean?
Because like it is part of the story.
Yeah, it's the method that Magnus Greel uses to
Like a
uh
pseudonym.
I mean it's not a pseudonym, it's
Yeah.
he's
A disguise.
impersonating the
Yeah.
god so that all these Chinese uh people, mafia, whatever, follow him and do his bidding because he's a god and he's gonna do something, probably eternal life, something.
Yeah, I think it's a good like it's a good use of like even though it could be used as racist, but I think it's kind of similar to Sukadek, like I said. But like I think it's a good use to be able to have us believe of why he has all these men working for him. You know, he
Mhm.
has this army in a way, this cult. Of course, there's also the Chang is a like performer slash magician. I don't know too much about the if like the Chinese in particular were magicians back in the Victorian era. Of course, there's the movie The Prestige, which is all about like Victorian magicians. But what did you think of like the Victorian magicians in this episode, Ben?
Ah,
And the use of Victorian magic?
very much leaning. Not it isn't just like, "Oh, he's pretending," but it's also kinda leaning into that stereotype of, like, the Asian mysticism, like, "Oh, they're weird and they do magic," and it's, not just they have funny voices, you know?
Yeah. But some of it is cool, and like they I like how in some ways they have that like it has a line of like how much of this is like him doing just basic Victorian magic tricks, and how much of it is actually he's using the magic of Wang Chiang at that point. We don't know that it's actually Magnus Grill. I kind of like that aspect about it.
Mhm.
Of course, Chang has a sidekick. Well, also Grail has a
Mr.
sidekick.
Sin.
Mr. Sin. What do you think of Mr. Sin, Ben?
Interesting. He's a homunculus, which is really just a little person.
Who that person that is playing it is?
I do
What
not know.
it's Deep Roy. Do you know who Deep Roy is?
That name is familiar.
He's
Wasn't
the
he in
Oompa
like
Loompa.
the Wonk?
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's the Oompa Loompa in the Tim Burton Charlie and the Chocolate Factory movie, which is hilarious. He's
Mhm.
also in Star Trek. He's the Simon Pegg's character in the J.J. Abrams version of like this. You know how the Simon Pegg character has like a little sidekick that he's always like, "Get down from there."
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's Deep Roy.
That's
And Deep Roy also he was like a stand-in for Yoda in Empire Strikes Back, um, and R2-D2. So he is somebody that has done Doctor Who, Star Wars, and Star Trek.
that's cool.
But yeah, I love Mr. Sin. Great character. I love the episode 1, I believe. It's like you had that like reveal of the blood dripping down him, which I
Mhm.
think is a great like moment in this serial. It's great imagery.
Oh yeah, and it gets Jago starting to question things, being amateur sleuth.
But it's cool having this like dummy that comes alive and is going to kill everyone, including of course a cliffhanger for part two. It's part two, right? That he is a cliffhanger of him killing Leela or about to kill Leela, I should say,
Yeah,
which is a great cliffhanger. I had Mr. Sin's the action figure as a kid.
you did.
I did. He came. It was a two pack with him in Magnus Grail. Which Mr. Sin, great action figure, dude. Like that's a great idea to have like an action figure of that little guy.
Yeah.
Which is another one I just want to add to. Just like imagine being like at that point you would have been like 40, 50 years old, and then finding out they made a fucking Mr. Sin doll. Like what is the world coming to?
What do you mean?
Like basically like imagine being a kid at this time and then growing up and being an adult and then finding out they made a Mr. Sin like action figure. That would have been
Would that
crazy.
be so hard to believe?
Yeah, because like you have to remember back in this time, like they didn't make Doctor Who action figures or dolls.
Nothing at all?
No, nothing at all.
Just Daleks?
The Kenner dolls only started like not Kenner dolls, sorry, the Dapple dolls. I should say Dapple action figures only started in like the late 80s, I would say, if my memory serves me correctly. And those were shit. But yeah, like we already mentioned, David Maloney just kills it in terms of creating the mood for the story and the atmosphere of the environment, as
Absolutely.
well as like the sets are very good in the story. The Lightfoot's home, the like the police set, the theater set, and then of course like the set at the end of the
House of the
what you the
Dragon.
House of the Dragon set. That one's all really impressive at the time. It's shocking that like for a set that's used so little that they were able to build that big of a set. But yeah, what did you think of Tom this episode, Ben? Of course, Tom is not wearing the usual attire this episode.
You know, he's got his Holmes outfit. And it's pretty good. I was looking at the wiki. It said it's one of the few, maybe only one, yeah, only story where he isn't wearing his scarf, which is crazy. And of course, they finally got Leela out of her tribal uh pelt skimpy outfit, which
To
is
all the
good.
dads was dismay.
Oh, she's wearing a beautiful dress.
But Tom this episode is just is it's one of those ones where Tom is just hitting it out of the park. Robert Holmes gives him
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of great lines to work off of, and he is in his great. It's a great use of Tom of that mixture of seriousness and as well as being the clown that Tom Baker is. Um, it's a great use of Tom, and it's one of Tom's best performances.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And also, like the thing I one of the things I love about this episode is that this serial, I should say, is the how the first half of it is much more mysterious and a mystery story. It's the doctor putting together the clues of the story of the mystery, and then everything comes to a head in like those last two or three parts, and it becomes it becomes you're interested in the first couple of parts, and then you really much like it's one of those stories where the first couple of parts you're interested, and then later on you are very much invested, and you're on the adventure, you know.
Yes, become a little more action, a little bit uh more of an adventure. Yeah. Speaking of, he has another damn gun that
Oh
he
yeah.
shoots. Specifically requested. He didn't just find it.
Which Tom
It
Baker just he's the only doctor that is just like you put a gun on him and it's just kind of it fits in a way. Any other
really?
doctor, you're kind of like, what's going on here?
I
For
think
Tom,
it's less fitting than like Pertwee. Like
oh
Pertwee
yeah,
does.
Pertwee shot some guns before too.
Yeah.
But also like something that I was kind of weirded about was like the way that he Tom Baker kills Magnus Grill in this episode.
I guess, yeah.
Like sorry,
There's an
I think I said
argument
grill, it's grail.
there's an argument that it's his own undoing because
But
it's
like
his
he
own
pushes him in there, Ben.
machine.
That was a push directly in there, and he knew what was going to happen when he pushed him in there. That machine.
True.
That's death, Ben. That wouldn't hold in a court of law.
True.
It's his machine, ladies and gentlemen. Nope, nope. You pushed him in that machine that you knew was going to kill him. And yeah, like you mentioned before that we see a new outfit for Leela. Leela, this episode I think is great.
Definitely.
Robert Holmes has a lot of fun with the tribes the
Oh
tribes
yeah.
I don't know what tribeswoman in a Victorian setting, first time really on Earth, and like you have a couple of great moments, like the one in I think it's episode one or it could be episode two, where she goes back to Lightfoot's home
Oh,
for dinner.
that's episode 2 where
Yeah,
she's just like has a giant shank of meat and
and just eating
Lightfoot.
it right off the bone.
Yeah.
And of course, Lightfoot hilariously joins in on her.
Like, yeah, when in Rome.
But
Yeah.
there's a couple of great lines in here of when she is out of water and is just asking questions that the audience is just laughing at because it's so ridiculous. But it
Yeah.
never gets tiring in a way. They do it just at the right amount of where it doesn't become tiresome. It just kind of comes funny.
She's getting wise though. In I think it's the last episode, she had a funny line where the doctor said, "Do you know what this is?" And she says, "You're just something like you're asking that so you can tell me."
Yeah. No, there's definitely that relationship here of just Leela is there to ask questions, and the Doctor is there to explain it to her. That is the Doctor and Leela's relationship, much more than like a Sarah Jane and the Doctor's
Mm.
relationship. You can tell that Leela is just there for the Doctor to ask questions. I mean, to
Yeah.
ask the Doctor questions.
She has quite a bit of independence this episode, though. She goes on her own little side quests.
Yes, but when she's in the room with the Doctor and there's no action going on, that's her only purpose.
Hmm.
And I also loved at the talking about Leela, the at the end when she gets the gun and is trying to shoot at Mr. Sin. And she's shooting the gun, and then she's like, I never shot a gun like this before. And she's just failing shooting the gun.
Hmm.
I thought that moment was great. But like you said, yeah, no, there's some great moments of Leela is in control.
Yeah, she's a warrior.
Yeah. And like especially that moment where she's like underground with Magnus and she like escapes him. That's a great moment in the serial. That great moment where the one of the guys is trying to kill the Doctor and throws, I think, the axe at him, and then she kills him instead. And then she's like, the Doctor's like, "Why did you kill him?" He's like, he was gonna kill you." He's like, "Okay, then that's fine."
I love the moment in at the last or second to last where she's like, "Well, Lightfoot, he would have a weapon in a fixed position at all the entrances to the house, so he can, very like that like tribal mindset." And the Doctor's like, "Oh, I brought you to the wrong era." That was a funny moment.
No, but it's Robert Holmes is just at his peak at with this story of just like he's in his environment of just being able just to write very clever, witty dialogue as well as creating a very smart script. Like Russell T Davies said that he is really is one of the greats. Even
Absolutely.
though that he is writing this genre kids TV show, there is a level of quality here in terms of his writing.
How many more Robert Holmes things do we have?
In terms of when he's a script editor, we have like 2 or 3 stories. Episodes that he has written, we have a couple because he stays on the show until the 80s.
Oh, cool.
What else is there else to talk about? Of course, we haven't talked about the villain at all, the main villain.
Yes,
Uh, Wh-
Magnus Greel.
Magnus Grill slash Wang Chang. What did you think of him? Of course, I don't know if you saw this, played by Michael Spice. Who did you see? Who he also played?
No.
He was the voice of Morbius, which is why he's so good in this story.
Oh, yeah.
Because he can do that over the top yelling, screaming, evil bad guy very well. But
Mm.
what did you think of him, Ben?
He was good. Very dramatic.
Oh yeah.
I thought for most of the story, like I knew it wasn't like the master or anything, but I figured he would be like a time lord with his time cabinet.
So, Ben, I don't know if you read this, but at one point it was going to be the master.
Oh.
So it was going to be the master, but then Phillip Hinchcliffe was like, "Nah, let's not do the master again," because he didn't like the idea of like that Barry Letts uh poetry era mentality of just having it be like the master behind everything all along. He since they already used the master, he didn't want to do it again. But that's why it's like he has the decaying the decaying
Yeah, a lot of
hands,
similarities with his appearance from the Deadly Assassin.
the time cabinet, and then he even says at one point, "I need that. I need to regenerate." It's just like at a point this was going to be the master, but then they changed it, which I think for the best because it would have been kind of a shame if it was just, oh, it's the decaying master again.
I mean, it could have worked, I think, even if it was a different Time Lord.
Yeah,
Like, I could see Magnus being up there with Morbius, just like, but instead it's a guy from the future.
yeah, I like
With
that. That it is not tied to anything in particular. Of course, this also is the first time we get the reference of the time agency.
the time agency?
Yeah, they mentioned time agents at one point in this story. I don't think we see them or reference them again in classic Doctor Who, but that is a thing that is in New Who and in Torchwood. Because Captain Jack Harkness is a time agent. Uh,
Oh. I've
so
I've there's been one or two references to him in the companion chronicles I've listened,
yeah,
particularly with the second Doctor's former companions who have no memories.
but I think you thinking that is different. That's the CIA, which is the Time Lords agency.
Oh, there's multiple.
The Ben, you're talking about expanded universe in Doctor Who. There's a lot of shit, Ben. We could be here for years.
how many throughout time agencies are there?
Well, there's also the Division, which is a Jodie Whittaker thing, which is kind of similar to the CIA Time Lord Agency, but it's different. And that's where we get like the fugitive doctor.
Oh, right. She's on the run from him, right?
Yeah, because she used to work for them.
Ooh.
But
Have you listened to the Fugitive
no,
Doctor
I
yet?
have it. I got it. But like I still need to like I download it on my phone even, but I just need to listen to it. I haven't had time. Maybe after I listen to the Fourth Doctor Lost stories, I'll be in the big finish kick, so I'll already be like, okay, here we go.
Cool.
But yeah, Magnus Grail is a great villain. Like I said, great. That actor Michael Spice can really do that over the top evil British bad guy performance really well. The crackling villain
Mhm.
that's just screaming and is just in pain and just thinks like very egotistical. It works. I don't think he's one of the greatest villains of classic Doctor Who, uh, but is a villain that is a good villain that's serviceable for a good story. But yeah, Ben, I think do you have any special notes before we move on to the cliffhangers?
Already?
Like, we're been recording for 50 minutes, Ben. Is there anything that I'm missing?
Huh?
Because we already talked about Lightfoot and Jago. We
Yeah.
talked about Mr. Sin. We talked about Leela and Tom. What else is there to talk about in this story?
Gotta talk about Casey, Jago's employee.
What do you
I could
have?
talk for another hour about Casey.
What was all right? Start us off, Ben.
He is absolutely wonderful. My favorite character in all of television. He knows that some shit's going down in that base and he's scared and you can really see it on his face.
I guess also we never really talked about it, the giant rat, Ben. I'd mentioned it the first part of it, but what did you think of the giant rat? Is it that bad, Ben?
I mean, it's bad, but it's no giant clam.
So you think the giant clams are worse?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I would agree. I would say even like something like Invasion of the Dinosaurs is worse than this. Or
Yeah.
like the Loch Ness Monster and Terror of the Zygons. I think like there's a little bit of like people really are harsh on the giant rat. I don't think it's that
Isn't there
bad.
like a newer version that has like
Yeah.
a CGI replacement?
Yeah, but also I don't think that would probably be even that much better than what we have at the
I don't
moment.
know. It's such a minor part. It's fine. It works. It ain't that bad. Well, I mean, I guess we have a little more to talk about, of course, but I guess this won't be as long as Genesis or anything like that. So we could jump into the cliff.
Ben, kick us off with the cliffhangers.
Alrighty, the first one, the giant rat attacks the doctor and Leela in the sewer.
Oh no, it's a
Second
giant rat.
The second one, Mr. Sin attacks Lightfoot and Leela. Third, Leela is attacked by the giant rat. Fourth one, Weng-Chiang and Mr. Sin steal the time cabinet from Lightfoot. And the last one is Leela rips off Wang-Chiang's mask as she's being chloroformed.
Which is the best one, right?
Yes, revealing his true face.
Great cliffhanger.
Oh yeah. So Cam, how would you rate this episode?
I would do hmm. I think I think. Let me open my thing. I'm gonna go maybe a little bit lower than some people. I'm gonna go 9 9 flat. I think it's a good story, but I don't think it's as good as The Seeds of Doom. I don't think it's as good as Pyramids of Mars. I don't think it's as good as Ark in Space, personally.
You like it more than Robots of Death?
I like it more than Robots of Death, yes.
Hmm.
Because Robots of Death does not have Jack on Lightfoot.
True. Yeah, it's a 9. Alrighty. You want to do? I can want to look at the overall.
Yeah,
And
you do. Do you want me to do overall, or do you want to do the magazine?
I have the magazine pulled up right
All right,
now.
I'll do overall.
So, Doctor Who magazine, as I'm sure you are aware, dear listener, does a poll periodically for what the best stories of each Doctor is. Most recently in 2023, on which the Talons of Weng-Chiang ranked 5th out of 41. In years past, it had, in 2014, it was number 3. And in 2009 and 1998, it was number 2. So definitely up there, but it has gone down over time, probably as the culture has shifted more into political correctness, perhaps.
You could just use the word woke, Ben.
I don't
Everything's
like the
gone
word
woke.
woke.
No, it's a terrible word. Uh, Overall, though, in 2014, Talons of Weng-Chiang ranked number 6 overall.
Six. It's the sixth best story of all of Doctor Who.
Yeah,
Wow.
I wouldn't go that high, but it's definitely up there.
It's definitely very good.
But this is the end, Ben, of the not the Graham Williams era. That's next week. This is the end of Philip Hinchcliffe's era. What did you think of the Philip Hinchcliffe era overall? Actually, no, we can save that forever. We save that for the episode. We're gonna do a retrospective and ranking of the Philip
Let's,
Hinchcliffe
yeah,
era. So stay
real
tuned for
quick.
that. But Ben, what did you think of season 14 in general?
I'm just doing a real quick calculation. I'm getting our average scores. Okay, I did that wrong. 5.7 plus 8 plus 9. Okay, so season 14, for your information, your average rating for all the stories is 7.97 and mine is an 8.07. So about 8. It's for both of us the lowest rated of Tom's so far. Which I think the Mask of Mandragora is probably what's pulling down that average the most. But overall, I think it was a very good season.
I think I would agree. It's a good season, but it's the weakest of the Hinchcliffe era and of Tom Baker that we have seen so far. There's a
Yeah,
couple of duds in there, or not even just duds. It's just like Mask of Mandragora is a dud, and like Planet of Evil is just not the greatest story in the world.
face.
Sorry, Face of Evil is not the greatest story in the world. And then like you don't have something as high as we were on. We were both very high on Seeds of Doom and Genesis the Daleks. I don't think
Yeah.
we were both thought that the series had as high of a high as those or Paris of
Yeah,
Mars.
but the 3 kinda legendary episodes here are definitely the best for a reason. Deadly Assassin, Robots of Death, and Talons of Weng-Chiang.
Yeah, and then Hand of Fair is a solid departure for Sarah Jane.
Yep, absolutely.
And of course, Leela is it's a good start for Leela.
Mhm.
It's a good change to the show at this point of having a different companion for the show. Even though I would have definitely have taken more Sarah Jane in the Fourth Doctor. But join us next week as we're going to be doing more. We're going to stick with more the Hinchcliffe era. Next week we're going to be doing we're going to do either 2 bonus episodes of a ranking and retrospective of the Hinchcliffe era, along with we're going to do a big finish episode about the Lost Stories, which is the first like box that they did with Tom Baker of the Lost Stories from this era of Doctor Who. So look forward to those before we start the Graham Williams era of the show. As always, I've been your host, Cameron, and I hope you enjoy. Please follow us on all the podcast platforms and make sure to watch us on TikTok and YouTube. Ben, any last words to the people out there?
Just have a wonderful rest of your day.
Peace out, everyone.